So, in 2017, a woman is walking across Putney Bridge in London. Morning rush hour, totally normal day. And a jogger runs straight at her and shoves her into the road right in front of a double-decker bus. The bus driver swerves at the last second and barely misses her head. The whole thing is on CCTV. Millions of people watched it. Police questioned 50 men, arrested 3 wrong guys. One of them wasn't even in the country. Then they just closed the case. 9 years later, they finally got him. And you won't believe who he turned out to be. So the date was May 5th, 2017, a Friday morning in southwest London. Putney Bridge is this narrow 4-lane road that crosses the Thames between Putney and Fulham. Thousands of people use it every morning. Commuters, cyclists, joggers, pedestrians, all crammed onto the same sidewalks. And around 7:40 in the morning, a 33-year-old woman was walking south across the bridge. Just walking, not jogging, not on her phone. Just a person heading somewhere on a Friday morning. And a man was jogging in the opposite direction, heading north, moving fast. And as he passed her, he reached out with his right arm and shoved her straight off the sidewalk and into the road. Now, this wasn't some accidental bump. The CCTV footage is clear. He extends his arm and drives her sideways into the traffic lane. And at that exact moment, a number 430 double-decker bus was coming south across the bridge. The driver, a guy named Oliver, was doing around 12 miles an hour. And he sees this woman suddenly thrown into his path, and he swerves the bus to the left, hard. The front of the bus passed inches from her head. Oliver later said the swerve was pure reflex. He didn't have time to think. He just reacted. And if he hadn't, she's dead. Or at minimum, she's under a double-decker bus with catastrophic injuries. And the jogger just kept running. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. Didn't check if she was alive. Just kept heading north across the bridge like nothing happened. Now, it gets worse. About 15 minutes later, the same jogger came back across the bridge, heading south this time. The woman was still there. She tried to confront him. She stepped in his path and attempted to stop him, and he just dodged around her and kept running. Didn't say a word, didn't even acknowledge her, just ran past like she was a traffic cone. The woman survived. Physically, her injuries were minor, bruises, scrapes from hitting the road. But the psychological damage was something else entirely. She'd been thrown in front of a bus by a total stranger for absolutely no reason, and the person who did it didn't care enough to stop. She was reportedly traumatized for a long time afterward, and I think anyone would be. You're walking to work on a Friday morning and some random person tries to kill you and then jogs away like it was cardio. Now the police didn't release the CCTV footage right away. The incident happened in May, but the Metropolitan Police held the video until August 2017. 3 months. And when they finally put it out, the footage went everywhere. Millions of views within days. News outlets across the world picked it up. The media gave him a name immediately, the Putney Pusher. And the public reaction was intense. People were furious. This was a random, unprovoked attack on a woman who was just walking across a bridge in broad daylight, on camera. And the guy got away with it. Investigators started getting tips almost immediately after the footage went public, hundreds of calls. And within days, detectives zeroed in on their first suspect, a 41-year-old American investment banker named Eric, living in Chelsea. He worked for a firm called Hutton Collins Partners. Multiple people called in and identified him from the CCTV stills. They thought he looked like the jogger. Police arrested Eric at his home in Chelsea on August 10, 2017. And it wasn't him. Eric's lawyers came out swinging. They said their client was in the United States on May 5th, not in London. Not even in the country. They had documentation proving he was on vacation in California when the push happened. His running app showed his regular route was from Sloane Square to Battersea Park, miles away from Putney Bridge. And investigators confirmed it. Eric was innocent. Wrong guy. But Eric's name and face were already all over the news. International media had plastered his photo next to the CCTV footage. He'd been publicly accused of shoving a woman in front of a bus, and even after he was cleared, the damage to his reputation was done. His employer had to put out a statement. His family had to deal with the attention. All because he vaguely resembled a guy in grainy CCTV footage. I guess that's what happens when the internet decides you're guilty before the police finish checking your alibi. So now investigators were back to square one. They kept working, questioned more people, followed more leads. Police even released enhanced images months later, hoping someone would recognize the jogger from a clearer angle. In total, they interviewed around 50 men in connection with the case, arrested 3 of them, including Eric. All 3 were released. None of them were the Putney Pusher. And then, in June 2018, the Metropolitan Police made an announcement that nobody wanted to hear. They were closing the case. All reasonable lines of inquiry had been exhausted. That was their official statement. They couldn't identify the jogger. The CCTV footage wasn't sharp enough to get a definitive facial match. Despite millions of people watching the video, despite hundreds of tips, despite over a year of investigative work, they had nothing solid. Case closed. And for a lot of people, that was maddening because the whole thing was on video. You could watch a man shove a woman in front of a bus in full daylight, and nobody could figure out who he was. The footage played on every news channel in the world. Tens of millions of people saw his face, and he just vanished into the morning commute and never got caught. If you're finding this one interesting, hit subscribe. More stories like this every week. So the case sat cold for years. No new leads, no new suspects, no dramatic tip line breakthrough. Just a viral CCTV clip that people occasionally shared on social media with comments asking why nobody ever caught the guy. The Putney Pusher became one of those cases that people brought up whenever someone mentioned unsolved crimes in London. Up there with the ones that just never made sense. Every couple of years, a news outlet would run an anniversary story asking the same question, who was the jogger on Putney Bridge? And nobody had an answer. That was 2017. By June 2026, the story was nearly a decade old. And then the Metropolitan Police put out a statement. They'd arrested a 44-year-old man at his home in West London on suspicion of attempted grievous bodily harm. The same charge category connected to the Putney Bridge incident. New information had reportedly come to light that reopened the investigation. The man they arrested was not some random jogger. According to multiple news outlets, he's a multi-millionaire private banker, a senior advisor at a financial institution in the City of London, working with high-net-worth clients and institutional investors. He lives in a home valued at around £1.4 million in West London, and before his banking career, he served as an officer in the British Army, a decorated captain according to reports. And it doesn't stop there. Multiple outlets reported that the suspect has familial connections to several prominent European royal houses, including the House of Windsor, the British royal family. So for 9 years, the Putney Pusher was apparently a wealthy, well-connected former military officer living comfortably in West London. While the public was furious, while the victim was dealing with the trauma, while poor Eric was getting his name dragged through international media for something he didn't do, this guy was just living his life, going to work, advising millionaires, attending functions, probably jogging. He was also arrested on suspicion of possession of Class A and Class B drugs during the same police visit to his home. So the attempted GBH charge wasn't the only thing investigators found when they showed up. Now, the suspect has not been publicly named by police as of right now. He was arrested, questioned, and released on bail. He has not been charged. He has not been convicted. The investigation is ongoing. But you don't reopen a cold case that's been shut for 8 years and arrest someone at their million-pound home unless you think you've got something real. And the timing raises its own questions. What was the new information that surfaced? After 9 years, what suddenly pointed investigators at this specific person? Did someone come forward? Did forensic technology catch up? Did a tip that didn't mean anything in 2017 suddenly click in 2026? None of that has been made public yet. And until charges are filed, all we know is that the police are confident enough to have made an arrest. But think about what this means for the people involved. The victim spent 9 years knowing her attacker was out there, living free, completely unidentified. Eric spent years dealing with the fallout of being wrongly accused on an international stage. Oliver, the bus driver, had to live with the memory of almost running over a woman who got thrown in front of his vehicle. And the public sat with the frustration of watching a crime happen on camera and watching the system fail to solve it. And the whole time, according to investigators, the person responsible was a millionaire banker with royal connections, living in a nice house in West London, going about his day like nothing ever happened, a decorated army officer who reportedly rubbed shoulders with some of the most prominent families in Europe, sitting in his £1.4 million house while the rest of the world wondered who pushed that woman. I guess the takeaway is pretty simple. CCTV footage can go viral, millions of people can see your face, and you can still walk free for almost a decade, until you can't. 9 years is a long time, but apparently it's not long enough. If you want more stories like this, they're on the channel.